Hi guys. So this week we're also going to talk about visiting the dentist. It's dental health month or dental health week. And so we're going to talk about taking care of our teeth and brushing every day, flossing, eating certain foods that are really good for our teeth like fruits and vegetables, and less with the sugary stuff because we know those can give us those sugar bugs or cavities. So my story today is Curious George visits the dentist. Have you ever been to the dentist? I hope so. I'm sure you have. George was a good little monkey and always very curious. When he visited his neighbor, Mrs. Ross, he was especially curious about her gleaming basket of fruit. The bright red apple on top looked too perfect to be true. And it was. Oh no! Was it a real apple? George bit into it and discovered that it was hard and sticky and not sweet. Oh dear, said Mrs. Ross, that's not a real apple, George. It's made of wax. Sometimes people put those out for decorations on their table. George's tooth began to hurt. You should always ask before eating something, George, the man with the yellow hat reminded him. And he's holding his face so we know it's in pain. By the time he went to bed that evening, George's tooth was very sore. But the next morning, it was wobbly. His mouth felt so strange that George couldn't even enjoy his favorite pancake breakfast. We should see the dentist right away. She can make sure that tooth of yours is all right. The man explained that the dentist was a doctor for teeth, but George didn't want anyone to touch his tooth. What if it hurt? George walked along the path to the dentist's office with his friend, his steps getting slower and slower, until he ran off to pick a daisy. That's very pretty, said the man, chasing after George, but we have an appointment and we shouldn't be late. You'll be a good little monkey, won't you? George nodded. He always wanted to be good. The waiting room was a welcoming place. There were lots of things to do. One by one, the young patients were called away by a woman in a white suit. George watched them go through a red door, each holding on to their grown-up's hand. One scared little boy was carried by his mom. George was glad he didn't have to see the dentist by himself. George, you're next, the woman announced. George was sad to put down his book, but he was also a little curious about where everybody was going. Was there another play area? The next room was the examining room. It was not filled with toys, but it was still interesting. There was a sink and a long chair to lay down. There was a stool for the dentist and a light above the chair. George was curious. Why were there two faucets in the room? Hello, George. I'm Dr. Wang. It's nice to meet you, she said. Why don't you lie down and we'll take a look at your teeth? George saw a row of silver dental tools on the counter, long, shiny, and pointy. He hid behind the man with the yellow hat. How's George feeling? A little nervous? Maybe because he doesn't know. George, would you like me to try out the chair first? The man asked. Great idea, said Dr. Wang. The man lay down. He opened his mouth wide so the dentist could shine the light in to see his teeth. She took out a small instrument to take a closer look. This is a mouth mirror, she said. George watched. It didn't look too scary. Next, I'll count the teeth, Dr. Wang told George. She picked up one of the sharp tools. This is an explorer, she said. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the man exclaimed, Ow! And uh-oh, the dentist said, and George ran away. Oh no, he's scared. He left the exam room. He scurried down the hall. There were so many doors. He didn't know which one was the way out. He tried one door and he walked into another room. A monkey! A little girl cried, and she jumped out of her chair in excitement as George backed out. He continued down the hall, opening doors and disturbing all the patients. In one room, the scared boy from the reception area was crying. George had an idea. He jumped onto the table and began juggling packs of dental floss. The little boy stopped crying and he smiled. Next, George leapt over to the sink in the middle of the room. He pushed a button and the water jet spurted, spraying water all around the room. Oh, man. That silly monkey. Next, George decided to switch on the overhead lamp, but the lamp tumbled over, spilling safely on the floor. The boy clapped, but uh-oh. Dr. Wang stood there in the doorway. George, you naughty monkey, Dr. Wang said. What a mess you've made. This is a dental office. This monkey was the only one who could get Tyler to stop crying, said the boy's mom. Dr. Wayne considered. She said, "It does look like we have some eager young patients, and if we weren't for you, George, I wouldn't have found the cavity in your friend's mouth. Turns out I need to have a filling," the man with the yellow hat said. "Come on, George, let's go get our teeth checked." As soon as Dr. Wang looked into George's mouth, she laughed. "Why, George, all you have is a loose tooth." A loose tooth sounded worrisome to George. "It's going to fall out soon. There's a new permanent tooth that'll grow behind it. Looks like you've been doing a good job brushing your teeth." George jumped up in his chair. He did. He brushed every night and every morning. "Keep brushing and don't eat too many sweets," the dentist reminded him. "You want your teeth to be in good shape for the tooth fairy." George waved goodbye to his new friends. He went home with a new toothbrush, some dental floss, and instructions for his loose tooth. He should bite into as many hard apples as he could find, as long as they were real apples, of course. That's sometimes what they say if your tooth is ready to fall out. He decided he didn't mind going to the dentist at all. That night, he ate a healthy dinner with an apple for dessert. His tooth fell out with the second bite. He put it under his pillow, and the next morning, George found a special coin in the tooth's place. And when Mrs. Ross came to check on George, George proudly showed her the coin from the tooth fairy. Mrs. Ross laughed and said, "Well, that was a quick way to lose a tooth, but I don't recommend it next time." So, did you like that book? We're going to read a few other stories for Dental Health Week. And today, your only assignment is to do Ready to Rhyme. We're going to put our name at the top and cut along this side where it has the dotted lines and cut out each of the little boxes. Oops. I'm just going to cut again so that I cut my whole rectangle here for you to see, and then I go right through. And then you're going to match them up like we've been practicing at morning meeting. Moon, skate. No, that doesn't rhyme. Moon, dog, moon, spoon. So go ahead, make sure to glue them down where it says glue here. Glue here. We have moon, spoon. What rhymes with car? You can line them out to see. Car, star. You guys really know that one. Usually we get that one right away. And it looks like we have, let's just make sure we have the right thing. Bunny, bear, bunny, skate, bunny, dog, bunny, honey. That's a tricky one. That is a picture of honey if you're not sure what it is. Bunny, honey. Chair rhymes with bear, frog, dog, that's right. And then the last one, that's a gate, and it rhymes with skate. Make sure you color your pictures with your crayons. Just extra practice to practice our coloring, using our crayons, turning, making sure it's on their side, doing that good pencil grip, pinch, pinch, the rest fall under. Like so. And I'm going to finish that up. And that is our rhyming paper for today. If you have time, you can always turn it over and draw 2 of your own pictures of some words that rhyme. You can draw a little line down the middle and pick 2 things that rhyme. Cat, hat, mouse, house. Let's see if you can guess the one I'm going to do. This is my fish. Oops. Fish and dish. Fish, dish. And you can label the picture. You can have somebody help you. Sound it out. Ish. Fish. And if I can spell fish, I can sound out dish. Duh. I-S-H. Fish, dish. They both end the same. All right, guys. See you soon. Good work.